We're going to be changing gas struts on an LAE, and this is the instruction video how to do it. So on the LAE you have gas struts, and that determines the user weight. We determine what gas strut they use. So if the chair is not coming down smoothly, comes down real fast, or doesn't come down easy, you know that the gas strut is probably wrong for that client. So we have all different ones. We start from 400, 500, 600, 700 Newton. 700 Newton's the maximum weight. So we're going to be taking these struts off to change them. So the first thing you want to do is measure the distance from this bolt up to the top of the threads, and from this up to the top of threads. They should be exactly the same. So I'm going to take a measurement with my ruler. So what I'm going to do is put the ruler or tape measure, whatever you want to use, right here. So I have about 3 lines showing, and I'll have the same on this side. So 3 lines. So I remember that I had 3 lines on the ruler. You could actually count threads too. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 threads showing above the nut. So now what we can do, I'll move the camera so you can see, is we're going to loosen these 2 bolts here. So just put your wrench on, turn it loose, and same thing on this side, turn it loose. And once you have them loose, you can turn them by hand. Now I turn them by hand. I'll bring them all the way up to the top of the threads. And you could actually count turns if you wanted to. So if you wanted to count threads, you can go all the way back up. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 turns. So you can also do that too to count the threads. So I'm gonna loosen this one back up. And there might be a little bit of grease on there. So now that you have that loosened up, I have the bottom bolts loose. Now what I want to do is put both hands on the gas struts, and I want to turn them. And they might be really hard when you start turning them, but what you can do is put one on one strut like this and turn, and one on the other and turn. So once you get them started, you want to turn both together. So keep turning them together. And you want, if one's going faster than the other, try to keep them close, because you want to have them turn together. And you'll actually see that the thread will start threading down into here, but just keep going until they release. So now we have them released. You can see they're loose from the top. Once you have them all the way unthreaded, you can actually pick the chair up. And what you could do is actually push up towards the front of the chair, and it will help them release. So once you have them released off the chair, you can just turn them right off the stud. So I'm turning them off, and then you can put your new one on. So they thread right in. You pull this off. Now you have it off. Get your new one. Now I'm going to put my new one on. So I'm just going to do the reverse of what I just did. So I'm going to screw the strut all the way in until you get to the end of the nut. So I got that all the way in. So now I'm going to just do the reverse of what I just did, and I'm going to screw them back in to the top part of the chair. Now we'll make sure they're both in the same place on the bottom. And now so I can line this up, and I can just turn them in and just turn them together. And what's going to happen is if you have the threads all the way down, just be sure you have them both tight. Hand tight is fine, because they're not going to go anywhere. So they're both hand tight.
now I can count my turns again on these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. It's more than 6.5, but it's just an example. So now I don't have to tighten the bolts. I can actually check to be sure that it actually works. So what I'm gonna do is check it. So I'm gonna push, and see the levers, they're going all the way in. And you can actually have someone push from the top to be sure that they go all the way down. Now if you pull these levers and they feel really tight, it's because you have this gas strut down too far. So that's why we have you measure the distance here. So, and after you're done with that, just tighten your bolts back down. Make sure you tighten these down because people forget to do it. Just hand snug, it's fine. About 50 pounds of torque. It's aluminum, so there you go. And now you have both cables pulling, and the way you look is right here. You can see them pulling all the way in. That's pulling all the way in, and you're good to go. That's how you change the gas struts on the Lae. Thank you.